Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for making time today to join the webinar. My name is Alex, and I also have Matt from our account management team here. We'll be running this webinar together. So now that the ELD mandate is in effect, roadside inspections are going to look different for drivers. During today's webinar, we're going to talk about some of the changes in roadside inspections since the ELD launch date and what you need to do to prepare. Before we get started, I'm going to cover a few housekeeping items. We'll be recording today's webinar and posting the video onto the Big Road blog. You can visit the blog at blog.bigroad.com. Here you'll find recaps of all of our previous webinars, as well as information on what's happening in the industry, including new rules, regulation changes, and ELD mandate news. We post new content here twice a week, and it's a great source for industry news and an easy way to keep yourself up to date. If you submitted questions with your webinar registration, we've done our best to answer them throughout the presentation. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can enter them into the question box located on your GoToWebinar control panel. This question box is located on the lower right side of the window. At the end of the webinar, we'll open the floor for a question and answer session. During this time, we'll answer the questions that you've submitted. We do get a lot of questions during our webinars, so I apologize in advance if we're not able to answer them all right away. Tomorrow, you'll be sent a follow-up email with a link to the recording and answers to the questions. Feel free to share this with anyone who might have questions about hours of service as they relate to electronic logging devices. Okay, let's get started. Here's what we'll cover in today's webinar. First, we'll go over the inspection bulletin that the CVSA recently issued and break that down to ensure that you're prepared for your next inspection. Next, we'll go over what items you'll need to carry in your cab once you have an ELD installed in the event of an inspection. Then we'll go over how enforcement has gone since the ELD launch date and some areas of concern, followed by some helpful tips to get you through your inspections with ease. Finally, we'll end the webinar by answering the questions that were submitted before and during the webinar. So I'm going to pass it over to Matt now to get things started.
Before we get into what has happened with roadside inspections so far, let's talk about what you need to prepare roadside when you get pulled over. The CVSA recently issued an inspection bulletin for handheld and electronic logging devices. Make sure you know what your ELD needs to do and what to do if your device malfunctions. The majority of drivers and inspectors still have a lot of questions around ELD inspections, despite ELDs being mandated for the majority of drivers in the US as of December 18, 2017. The CVSA recently issued a bulletin to review the requirements for devices used to record a driver's hours of service according to 49 CFR Part 395 Subpart B. I've broken it down for you to make sure you pass your next inspection with ease. The way that commercial motor vehicle drivers record their hours of service has changed significantly in the last year due to the ELD mandate. Here are the ways that you are able to log and be considered compliant. Electronic logging device, or ELD. On December 18, 2017, the majority of CMV drivers, including passenger carriers, were mandated to use ELDs to record their hours of service, if previously using paper logs or an electronic logbook. If you enter the transportation industry after December 18, 2017, and are required to keep a record of duty status, you must install an ELD in your vehicle. Next is automatic onboarding recording devices, or AOBRD. If you were using an AOBRD before December 18, 2017, you can continue to use it until December 16, 2019, before transitioning to an ELD. This is known as the AOBRD grandfather clause. The majority of drivers that we deal with took advantage of this clause. The last is electronic logbook or paper logs. If you qualify for an exemption, you can use an electronic logbook or paper logs to track your hours of service. These methods alone are no longer a compliant form of logging for those required to comply with the ELD mandate. At minimum, your ELD needs to display the following items: annotations, driver's location description, CMV power unit number, trailer number if applicable, and shipping documentation number, if applicable. You're also required to show some specific location information, including distance and direction from the nearest city. You are eligible to use location codes in lieu of actual names when doing this. A list of codes must be carried in the CMV and provided to the enforcement official upon request. Similar to paper logs and electronic logbooks, you need to display the following information on your graph grid. Total hours, that's total hours in your working day so far, off-duty time, including personal conveyance, sleep or berth time, driving time, on-duty not driving time, including yard move. When conducting a roadside inspection, the following items need to be reviewed by the inspector when the driver is using an ELD. Verify that the ELD is integrally synchronized to the CMV. Ensure the ELD can display record of duty status for the last 7 days plus current day. The driver can produce an instruction sheet for the ELD. The driver has blank paper logs to record their duty status and other information for a minimum of 8 days if there is an issue with the device. The driver can demonstrate the use of the device. The ELD can display or print a copy of record of duty status at the time of inspection. Now, when requested, the driver must produce their hours of service records via electronic data transfer, telematics or local, on the display screen of the ELD, or printed from the ELD. It's important to note that a device that is unable to print a copy of the driver's records of duty status is not a violation if the device is able to display the hours of service chart or an electronic display of each duty status change for the current day and previous 7 days. So what do you do if your ELD malfunctions? If your ELD malfunctions, you must provide written notice of the malfunction to your motor carrier within 24 hours. If you cannot access any logs, then you will need to recreate your records of duty status for the current 24-hour period and the previous 7 days to comply with 395.8. If you are required to keep blank paper logs, you are required to keep blank paper logs in your vehicle in case you have a malfunction. Once you are running with an electronic logging device, or ELD, there are some specific materials that the FMCSA requires you to have access to in your vehicle to make sure your inspection runs smoothly if you're pulled over. To make this easy for you, we've created a web page with all of these materials at www.bigroad.com/resources/ELD-materials. The address is up on the screen, but I will also send you the link in the email that will go out tomorrow. We'll go over what materials the FMCSA requires in the next few slides. Alex, I'll pass it back over to you now.
So an inspection guide. This guide gives you and the inspecting officer detailed instructions about how to complete an inspection using your ELD. When driving, you must have access to this as either a digital or paper copy. For the driver, this guide walks you through how to email, fax, or print your logs for the officer and how to prepare the Big Road mobile app for an on-screen roadside inspection. For the inspecting officer, this guide provides step-by-step directions on how to perform an on-screen inspection using the Big Road mobile app. If you are pulled over for an inspection, show the officer this card if they ask you how to inspect your logs on the Big Road mobile app. The next is a malfunction guide. So this guide gives you instructions about what to do if your ELD isn't working properly. It includes a step-by-step list of what you need to do in the event of a malfunction and how you can record your logs during this time. It's required that you have this guide on hand in either paper or digital format. With Big Road, the inspection and malfunction guides are on the same piece of paper. This is called your ELD driver card. This way it's easier for you and you don't have to keep track of extra paperwork. So you can download your driver card or request a laminated copy from the ELD materials webpage in the resources section of our website. Your ELD user manual gives you detailed instructions about how to use your ELD. If you ever need to know how to use a feature, you can refer to the user manual for instructions. Our user manual is available online through the Big Road mobile app so that you can access it from your truck. You are not required to have a printed copy in your truck, but it's useful to print one out just in case. In the event of an ELD malfunction that isn't a quick fix, the FMCSA requires you to have 8 days of blank paper logs, or 14 days if you drive in Canada. This way you can record your hours of service on paper if you need to and still run in compliance. Since the ELD mandate went into effect, there's been some confusion and concern regarding roadside inspections. So far, there seem to be 4 major areas of concern. First, drivers and/or DOT officers are not sure if they're dealing with an AOBRD or an ELD compliant vehicle. That's because there's still a lack of overall training and an extremely large variety of devices in the field. 2, ELD-related citations are being issued in several states against drivers and/or motor carriers when they are in fact using an AOBRD that complies with Section 395.15 of the ELD mandate. 3, motor carriers are choosing some ELD vendors that provide an insufficient level of training and post-sale customer support. These motor carriers are having a negative ELD or AOBRD experience, and drivers are becoming increasingly frustrated with technology that's not working as designed, resulting in productivity loss and a lack of preparedness at a roadside inspection. And finally, drivers are running out of hours due to delays in transit, wait time at customer locations, traffic, and major accidents. A lot of drivers feared they would have a difficult time adhering to hours of service regulations while using ELDs because of how strictly they record. Using an ELD will require some very careful planning, and in circumstances that can't be controlled, the best thing to do is annotate your logs to describe the incident that caused you to violate your hours of service rules and hope an inspecting officer offers some leniency. There are reports of drivers with AOBRDs being cited or fined for ELD violations. These violations have primarily been for a failure to transfer data, when, in fact, AOBRDs are not required to transfer data. An AOBRD only needs to display or print the required hours of service information. If a driver was incorrectly cited or fined, the citation should be contested via the data queues process, even though there's no effect on CSA scores until April 1st, 2018. A pattern of ELD-related violations by a motor carrier will still be looked at unfavorably by the courts and by insurance companies, regardless of how it affects your safety score. So it is still definitely worthwhile to challenge these citations. There are also several reports of data transfer failures with ELDs. The root causes of this data transfer problem were likely device-related rather than an issue with the FMCSA system. So data transfer issues, like with any ELD malfunction, must be repaired within 8 days. A motor carrier has the opportunity to file for an extension with the FMCSA within 5 days of the malfunction. If the ELD vendor is unable to provide a compliant device, you might consider switching to another vendor and even reporting that vendor to the FMCSA. For Big Road and Fleet Complete, ELD equipped, example non-exempt vehicles, at a roadside inspection, the driver is prompted to select from one of 3 options. 1, send to FMCSA. This is the EROD's compliant transfer mechanism and what our inspection card states. 2, display on screen. This is also a compliant mode of displaying logs on screen for an inspector. And 3, send print logs. This is presented for convenience as inspectors transition to the new ELD inspection modes. It will send the PDF log copy you refer to by printer, fax, or email. This is not the EROD's compliant method and should not be used for an ELD inspection. It is still available to users to allow a fallback to a more familiar way of presenting logs at roadside, but it's not ELD compliant. It's just an extra option that Big Road allows at the DOT inspector's discretion, which could be particularly useful during this transition period. When a driver is asked to perform an inspection using ERODs, they select option 1, send to FMCSA, in the application. Then they're asked if they should send the logs via web services or email. The inspector should instruct them which method to use and provide them with a comment to input. Inputting the comment and clicking send will send a properly formatted submission according to the FMCSA's rules and regulations. It should be noted that the FMCSA EROD system is presently not capable of accepting email EROD submissions. The email submission system is still in testing, with the option expected to be available in the future. In the interim, BigRoad has configured the system to allow inspectors to request the email submission. If the submission fails due to email EROD services not being available, as it will 100% of the time right now, the system will allow the driver or DOT inspector to fall back sending through web services or displaying on screen. The ELD rulemaking has not made any changes to the hours of service regulations, just the way that these hours are tracked and how the logs are presented. Despite this fact, there have been a lot of drivers reported to be running out of hours before reaching their destination or a safe place to park. The burden is on dispatchers to ensure that drivers have the required available hours needed to complete a trip, and motor carriers to educate their customers on how the new hours of service world with ELDs, this shouldn't be an issue only for drivers. In the meantime, drivers should enter detailed annotations for the reasons for any issues they encounter complying with hours of service rules that resulted in a violation. The driver will still technically be in violation, but the officer might grant some leniency if he or she sees that the driver was under extenuating circumstances. They might waive the violation. So it's really important that you make appropriate annotations to your logs because it could save you money and fines. Right now, we're in a soft launch period where violations and fines are under an inspector's discretion. Out-of-service citations will not be issued, and citations will not count against a driver's CSA score. However, the ELD mandate will soon go to the next phase where full enforcement is launched. This will be effective April 1st, 2018. At this time, citations and fines will continue to be issued, and drivers can also be placed out of service at roadside. CSA scores will also be affected by ELD-related violations beginning on April 1st. So if you aren't running in compliance yet, it's really important for you to get a solution as soon as possible because you don't want to get caught roadside without an ELD. April 1st might seem like it's a while away, but during the lead up to the first compliance deadline, the December 18th deadline, many providers ran out of stock or had very delayed shipping times. So at BigRoad, we did plan ahead to ensure that we were well supplied during this time, but it's still important that you prepare so you aren't stuck in a bad position later. So we've covered a lot of information, and if you haven't installed an ELD yet, you are vulnerable to violations now, and you could be put out of service beginning on April 1st. So it's time to choose a solution that meets your operations needs. You need something that's going to make compliance easy for you without breaking the bank. That's why I want to talk to you quickly about BigRoad's DashLink ELD, the web and mobile apps. It's the most affordable, reliable, simple, and flexible ELD solution available today. So the BigRoad mobile app is our electronic logbook and hours of service management application. This was the first product that BigRoad offered to the market, and it was actually one of, if not the first, electronic logbook applications available. The BigRoad mobile app is used to replace paper logbooks. It's completely free for you to use. Drivers and fleets love the BigRoad mobile app because it takes the guesswork out of logging and managing hours of service. It enables you to create clean, inspectable, and error-free logs in just a few taps. We always hear how much drivers enjoy this app because it makes their jobs easier. They don't have to worry about making the wrong calculations, running over their hours, or getting a violation for something that's easily avoidable with our app. Plus, it's really driver-friendly and easy to use. You don't have to spend hours learning how it works. So if you're not using it already, download the BigRoad mobile app and give it a try for free. You can find it on the iTunes Store or the Google Play Store. If you or your drivers are already using the mobile app, we suggest that you give our BigRoad web app a try. It's our real-time operations management tool that helps administrators to better manage operations while getting on the road to ELD compliance. From the Big Road web app, you're able to see where all of your assets are on the map and monitor hours of service compliance. You can easily see when you or a driver is at risk of a violation and communicate with real-time messages. You can also use the web app to store all of your logs and documents to have them readily available in case of an audit. Both the Big Road web app and mobile app connect with our DashLink ELD. So finally, the solution that everyone should get into if they still need a compliant solution is our DashLink ELD. It really is the easiest and most affordable ELD compliance solution that you're going to find on the market today. And for a limited time, we're making it even more affordable by giving away 3 extra months for free when you purchase it now on a 1-year term paid up front. That's 15 months for the price of 12. So with no upfront hardware costs and a low monthly fee, you can have the tools you need to comply with the ELD mandate without worrying about what it will cost you. You just plug the DashLink device into the ECM of your truck, you pair it with your Big Road mobile app via Bluetooth, and you're ready to go. There's no expensive installation or permanent changes to your truck. The device pulls the information directly from the computer within the truck, so you can focus on driving and not logging. So that wraps up our ELD Mandate 101 webinar. If you have any questions that weren't answered during the webinar, take a minute to enter them into the question box on your GoToWebinar control panel. So while we're waiting for those questions to come in, I'm going to mention a few things that you can take advantage of. So if you are interested in learning more about Big Road solutions, here are some ways that you can. If you haven't done so already, I do invite you to download the Big Road mobile app and give our free electronic logbook a try. You can do this by searching for Big Road in the Google Play or iTunes store, or visiting the address on the screen there. If you're ready to achieve compliance now, we've made it super easy to purchase a DashLink online without having to speak to a rep. You can just fill out the form online at bigroad.com/buy-now or getmyeld.com. And that Get My ELD web link is right on the screen there. But if you would prefer to speak to someone over the phone who can place the order for you, you can give us a call at 1-866-350-1396 to buy directly right now and get those 3 months for free. Okay, so we're going to move into some of the questions now. Let me see if any came in here. We'll just give you a minute to type any questions that you might have. Okay.
All right, so we've got a question here. Are you not supposed to have the mobile app open when logged in on your vehicle or in the truck or bus? And you should have the mobile app open on your screen. It should be somewhere where it's not going to be distracting to you, but somewhere where you can quickly, easily check to make sure the device is functioning properly and that you are in the proper duty status. So that if you're driving, you can easily see that you're driving. If you're off duty, you can easily see that it's off duty.
And that was actually the only question that we had come in today. So just to recap, what I'm going to do here is after the webinar, I am going to send out a follow-up email that includes a full recording of the webinar so that you guys can watch it on your own time or share it out with other people on your team. Actually, we had one more question come in here just at the last second.
Oh, so what are the primary differences between Big Road's AOBRD and ELD? biggest difference between AOBRD and ELD is the flexibility that you still have with AOBRD. Using an automatic onboard recording device, you do still have some flexibility to edit the logs on behalf of the driver, where those edits aren't shown at a roadside inspection. When you transition over to ELD, under ELD, you would only have the ability to annotate the log, not make any actual edits.
And I think another quick important thing to iterate there is that if you're installing a device in your vehicle on December 18th or later, it does have to be installed as an ELD. So the people who are going to be able to take advantage of that AOBRD grandfather clause are the people who installed the device in their vehicles before December 18th of 2017. So if you're installing a device in your vehicle now, you will have to install it as an ELD. Okay, Matt, that looks like all of our questions for today. Thank you guys so much for attending. And like I said, I'll be sending a recording of the email afterwards, so you can watch it again on your own time or share it with yourselves or your team. If you do want any more information about our ELD, including pricing, you can either give us a call at the number on the screen right there, or visit us at www.getmyeld.com, which is also on the screen right now. But thank you so much and have a great day.